Cravitz. If you have not followed his Triple H horse racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.
Good evening and welcome to episode 351 of Picks and Ponies here on the HHH Racing Podcast. I'm your proud host, Howard Kravitz. Thank you very much for joining us tonight on a little bit early, live here at 7 o'clock Eastern on Thursdays so that we don't bump in to the NFL draft because I want to watch my Bears pick the best quarterback in franchise history, although the bar is a little bit low. Let's hope this video ages well. Caleb Williams. Please make sure you follow me on X there at HKravitz. The bottom of this screen you see scrolling my email, hkravitzhorse@gmail.com. Please subscribe also below the video player. Smash that like button below the video player on YouTube and the upper right-hand corner up there on YouTube. Please hit that notification bell because we've already had a bunch of great shows for the Kentucky Derby weekend, and we have more to come. You can listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. Find out more about our Derby shows. Go to our website, hhhracingpodcast.com, for our full schedule, or just simply go to our YouTube channel. Subscribe to our Power Picks. It's only $4 a weekend, $16 for a month. No upcharge for the Oaks and Derby. You're literally getting a ton of Oaks and Derby information a week from this weekend for $4. There is no better deal in the country. Look below the video player on how to sign up. And also we are on Instagram, instagram.com/HHH Racing Podcast. Tonight we're going to talk about the late pick four. We're just going to do the pick four on opening night at Churchill because we have a bit of an abbreviated show. And then I have a taped episode with myself and Jim Miller, who had some family obligations and work obligations tonight. So we will have a taped video after our quick run through of the late pick four Saturday night, opening night at Churchill, and then we'll be out of here. This show will be less than 1 hour, so everyone can enjoy the NFL draft here live on Thursday night. Let me bring in my great co-host from the East Coast of Maryland, Pete Visco, and from the Saratoga Special and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Paul Halloran. Oh, whoa! What do we got going in the background there, Paul? I like it.
Who's that guy over my shoulder, Howard? You recognize him?
I believe that would be our boy Cody. Is that right?
Yes, that's our boy. I've been trying to get that up there for 2 days, Pete. Proud of me. I finally did it.
That is impressive, man. I love the technology you use.
Fortunately, I had the 310 shows to,
Well, maybe you'd have a little more time to work on your tech if we weren't so busy with the shows all the time.
Oh.
That's what I hear. Hey, Paul, two things real quick. First of all, the name tag is sort of in the middle of your face. I don't know if you want to slide the camera down.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, listen, we're doing the best we can here.
Yeah, there we go. We got Cody. I like it, Pete. Cody's looking over your shoulder. It's all good. And then real quick, Paul, we're going to be short tonight, guys. We're going to be very brief with everything. Yep. But, Paul, I know that you were involved in a very interesting phone call today. Did anything you want to talk about that phone call for 1 minute? Anything breaking news as we're filming here live Thursday night, April 25th, about the Derby or Oaks?
Nothing that I heard was breaking. It sounds like Brad is leaning toward running Encino. I haven't seen him announce it definitely, but he is working him Saturday morning. So, but I did get a chance to ask Chad Brown a few questions. Chad has a few horses in this race. I don't know if you guys were aware of that or not.
I've heard.
And what I did ask him about, he's talked in the past about trying not to take Sierra Leone's style away from him. And I asked about how do you balance that with, it's tough to lose contact with a 20-horse field. And his answer basically was, his running style does create a more challenging trip. He says he has a lot more confidence going 1.25 miles with him. He's sure he can handle it, where a lot of the other horses are not so sure. And as far as that specific question, he said, we definitely don't plan on taking the horse out of his running style. He seems adaptive to the pace, and the Risen Star he was a little closer to a pace that was slower. If the pace is slow from the beginning, it's quick from the beginning, he's going to find himself far back, but he's a smart horse, and he will trust Tyler to get him a good trip. So, it sounds like they're just going to play it by ear. If it's a slow pace, he might be closer. And if it's a fast pace, we might have the angst of him being, 16th, 17th, 18th early. So be patient, Howard. Be patient.
No, that's absolutely fine. It's not going to be a slow pace. Forget the slow pace thing. The other thing I want to just mention, and then we got a handicap, guys, but if the pace is honest, Pete, that's a word we've been using a lot. We think it's going to be honest. That should, in theory, spread the field out, right? So though it's a 20-horse field, it's a quarter-mile run into the first turn. And if it is honest, I mean, I count of 20 right now. I count at least 6 or 7 horses, Pete, that want to be forward. I'm not saying on the lead, but will be certainly way ahead of Sierra Leone. So I have a hard time believing the back of the pack, Pete, or even 3/4 back is going to be, there's going to be a lot of bumping and a lot of issues. I think a lot of this field wants to be forward, at least in the top half of the field. Don't you think?
No, I do, and I don't like a ton of the ones that are in that position. Right. But yeah, I agree. Yeah. And you just want to get buried, and you're gonna have to weave through, and that's where some of the bumping could happen. So other than that, yeah, I think we'll see. We'll see when the posts come out.
Right, and post comes out. I'd be remiss not to tell everyone very quickly. Saturday night, live right here, HHH Racing Podcast, between races 3 and 4. They're drawing the Oaks of the Derby.
Rock and roll, do it. Oh, sorry. I was just getting into a little Bay City Rollers Saturday night. Sorry.
Oh, that's all right. 7:15 Eastern. We will be live on at 7:15 Eastern. I actually expect the Oaks to be in the middle of their draw, but we're not going to talk about the Oaks draw on Saturday night. Of course, we'll talk about it later. Anyway, 7:15 Eastern Saturday night. Come back here with many of our hosts and co-hosts, and we will hope that Sierra Leone gets a good post. We had a lot of fun. You guys remember the Breeders' Cup when Shards drew 7. That was a lot of fun. So hopefully we'll get another good draw live with Sierra Leone Saturday night, 7:15 Eastern until about 8 o'clock Eastern. Then we'll do a very quick recap and analysis of the draw, what it means. More information later. All right, guys. Saturday night, Churchill Downs. We're going to do the late pick 4. We're going to do it very quickly, ladies and gentlemen. Let me go ahead and bring up. This is their opening. Again, usually I say opening day, but it's actually opening night. They're starting their first card Saturday as nighttime card. Race 7 is the start of the pick 4. 9:40 Eastern. It's an allowance. They're on the turf. The turf should be great. I'm curious. Let's pray they have no problems with the turf course. I don't see any reason why they would. They've been working on it for a long time. It should be absolutely fantastic. Mile and a 16th allowance. Field of 10. Morning line favorite is the number 4. Ola Gata. Chad Brown. Tyler Gaffleone. Let me go ahead and put our picks up on the screen. This is the first time, guys, I'm seeing the more lines. I don't know about you guys, but it is the first time I'm seeing the more lines. Myself and Paul are going with the favorite. Pete's going with the 3. Pete, what do you like about La Pachanga for Shug and the newly crowned Hall of Fame jockey Joel Rosario? You got 5-1 morning line here, Pete.
Yeah, not a bad morning line. I was sort of between the 3 and the 4, and then wound up going with the pricier horse. I mean, it's pretty basic stuff. They put this horse on the turf 3 back, and it was just a market improvement, and then improved from a buyer standpoint, from a time form standpoint, from a result standpoint, each race. Now, the problem is that was back in May of 2023, so we're off a bit of about an 11-month layoff. Shug, I saw 11 for 15 in the money first after 300 to 400 day layoff when he's on the turf. So at least you could tell he gets his horses ready. Picks up Rosario, who I think is an improvement, obviously, over who he's had. No offense to anyone there. It's a $450,000 horse out of Warfront. So you figure you could see why they like the turf, why she would like the turf. And then now you're talking about the first start of the 4-year-old season. So if this horse is ready, I think she can take a nice move forward and hopefully improve on how she finished the year. And as you can see on the screen, it looks to be a fast pace based on time form. This horse, I'm hoping more sits that second flight. Looks like to be a little close, but there is other speed. So I'm hoping maybe there's other speed right out front, and this one could sit right off of it.
Pete, early on in the show, I had Michelle Yu on the podcast before you guys were even co-hosts. She was one of my first, sort of famous guests on. And I got a little bit of trouble, and I'm going to pass it on to you because I've been working on this for years. You said out of Warfront, and I did a similar thing with Michelle Yu, and, she sort of scolded me. He's like, it can't be out of a male horse. So it's by Warfront, out of a Medallion mare. So anyway, just
except that the most important part of the transaction comes out of Warfront. So that's the way I look at it.
That's where you were going.
That's
okay.
where I go. That's
all right.
My,
well, I'll be a sucker and buy that excuse for
to all the ladies out there. That is my opinion on the language. Plus, I am not a connoisseur of language as our friend Paul is.
Paul, you and I are going with Oligata. I'll just let you quickly.
No, my pick that time. My picks. I sent you 2, 4, 5. I know you're tired, but check your email.
Does that mean I didn't? All your picks might be wrong now. That's not good.
Oh, well, that's great. Hey, listen, this is what happens when you do 312 shows.
I know. All right, I'm sorry about that.
Talk
Paul.
about the Tatuba for us, there, Paul.
Talk about Tatuba.
I just think this is kind of a classic Mike Maker horse. You know, he took over from Pletcher last fall, and he did run him long once at Churchill, and it didn't work out very well, to be honest. But once he got to Turfway, and then he did. I like the start at Keeneland earlier this year, where he took the lead, got past. Took the lead again, got passed again. You say, well, geez, Paul, he's going a net extra 16th. I like horses who run like that when they stretch out because I think he just might get on the lead and extend it. I just think it's kind of a classic Maker move. The horse has a little bit of seconditis, but so does the four, the favorite. 4 seconds out of 8 starts. So I went with the Saez Maker combo, thinking Louis is going to get the right trip, get this horse on the lead at some point, and hopefully hold it to the wire.
Well, funny thing, Paul, about all of them, they've all only won one, so none of them exactly like getting to the winner's circle, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly.
Which makes it
They're all
tough.
pictures, photo shy.
Yeah. Sorry,
no
Howard.
Question about it. No, that's okay. I'm actually switching some picks because I really messed up.
Yeah, I guess I'll talk to quick one about that one with you,
Paul.
Talk
about the 4, Pete. That's who I like on top of Oligata. Go ahead, Pete.
Yeah, well, just what Paul was saying. So looks like, and when you showed the time form, it looks like there's a hot pace expected. And then if you look at the 4 is basically a drop dead closer. So there's not a lot to not like from a pace standpoint. Ran the lifetime buyer, or not a lifetime buyer top, but a lifetime buyer top on turf, I should say, in the first race of the 4-year-old season. Coming back at Gulfstream, just missed, but was way, way out of it. So there's nothing wrong there. Picks up Gaffalione again, who had a couple nice runs. But again, another one, 4 out of 8 in second. But they're all, look at them, neck, head, neck, all the second place finishes. So the horse is right there. I guess the only thing was you sort of dropped a little bit low in that last one to optional claiming 25 to get that second. So now you're stepping back up, but, ran well in allowance at Keeneland last year. So should fit.
I don't like the 4 seconds out of 8 starts, but she seems to fit. And I think she seems to fit. And there's quite a bit of speed in the race. So,
I mean, and again, none of them win. So it's not that you can look at any of these horses and say this horse is not a winner. Then none of them are really. It's that one who's 1 for 19. That's one you can't really. That's 20-1, but still, that's when you get in trouble.
Let's go to race 8, guys. Race 8, second leg of the pick 4 main special. Interesting, 1.25 miles on the dirt. I think there's a race coming up that's 1.25 miles on the dirt. That's pretty famous.
Yes,
I don't know, but this one's slightly less famous. Big field of 11, though. Morning favorite is the 1, Just Basking, for very well-known Kentucky trainer Ian Wilkes and Joseph Talamo. I'm going 5-1-10. Pete's going 1-10-4. Paul's going 1-8-10. Pete, you and Paul are both going to Just Basking. Go ahead, Pete. 3-1 morning favorite.
Yeah, this is actually a similar scenario where they switched this horse from sprinting on the synth in the debut, where she actually ran pretty well. But if you look at the breeding out of out of Arrogate and out of a Blame Mare, how about that? They're both out of. Then they switched this horse, stretched it out, put it on the dirt, and you see just from a buyer standpoint, jumped way up, closed nicely. It was 38-1, but still, it was only the second race. So I don't always look at that. I think this horse just fits here. I didn't look at the pace it's not like the first race. It's not like expected to be a hot pace. No. But I feel like this horse from the rail, the only thing that would scare you is you don't want to get shuffled too far back if there's not going to be much pace up front. So that was sort of my biggest concern. But I felt like the 1.25 fits this horse, and you don't know if the 1.25 is going to fit most of them in here. That's just not something you do this early in your career.
Guys, this was a tough race to me, so I decided to go with the number 5 Mystical Chant, who, for 2 reasons. One, I think this horse is going to have the lead. And number 2, I think the horse is improving. Won a mile and a 16th last time, was caught in a pretty fast pace at Keeneland and just faded to 4th. But the buyers fits, the numbers fits. This horse is obviously improving. I'm sure Jose Ortiz is going to be aggressive with this one. And, again, we've talked about this 1,000 times, guys. Sometimes the longer the race, people think, oh, it favors closers and someone's coming behind. I don't see why this horse couldn't walk the dog on the lead here, because no one's going to make an early middle move in this kind of race. They're all going to wait. Maybe Jose can get away and steal it. Paul, any quick thoughts on this race? Then we're going to move on.
Yeah, I just think with horses that have relatively not that many starts, I do think pedigree comes into play. So I took a horse by Arrogate, and hence my second choice, a horse by Curlin out of a Bernardini mare, even though the horse didn't run a lick a year ago at Keeneland. And it's relatively no-name trainer. Luan Machado is a very good rider, and I just do think pedigree is going to come into play. I agree with you, Howard. Who the hell's closing the last 1/8 of a mile after they've already run 9 furlongs? It's.
I can think of a horse a week from Saturday that'll be doing that.
I was going to say it typically doesn't happen in the Derby, and we're hoping that's this year's a one-off. But yeah, right. So I went with some pedigree plays in here, and my third choice was a horse who was out of a Tappet mare.
Yeah, I think Breeding Matt. It's going to be interesting to get 3-year-olds versus 4-year-olds in that race, guys. And I always favor 4-year-olds at this time of year, but now the 3-year-olds are starting to develop. It's sort of interesting, younger horses versus more veterans. But if you're a 4-year-old and you haven't broken your maiden at this point, I don't really like that either. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting, guys. Race 9, this penultimate leg of the pick 4, is a nice overnight stake, and this is a loaded overnight stake.
It's a great race, man.
This could be a grade 3, couldn't it, guys? I mean, easily a grade 3. Maybe borderline grade 2, I thought. This is a really nice field. $200,000. It's the Roxalana overnight. $200,000 for the girls. They're going 6 furlongs, big field of 10. A lot of early speed in this race. Moreline favorite is the number 6, Dazzling Blue, for Cox and Giroux off the layoff. Let me go ahead and show our picks there on the screen. I had a real tough time with this race. I'm going 8-2-9. Pete's going 4-6-5. Paul's going 6-9-5. So my top choice, Pete and Paul don't have at all in their top 3. I realize I'm taking a bit of a stab as I see that 10-1 morning line. That I can understand that. Paul, you're going to go with who ends up being the morning line favorite, Dazzling Blue. She was good last year. She was inconsistent. She's been working very well. She is off a long layoff.
Well, I mean, she was inconsistent running against Vava, Alvastar, Jersey Pearl, Maple Leaf Mel. If you look at those PPs, she didn't really do a whole lot wrong, losing to Maple Leaf Mel, Alvastar, and Vava. And again, we've talked many times, you're either concerned about a long layoff or not. And I become way less concerned with a guy like Cox. It's a Juddmonte horse, well-bred, buy into mischief out of a Curlin mare. I agree with you guys. I think it's a great, very good race. I almost picked the 9 because I think Junior might get the best trip from out there. But I think if Cox has this horse ready, she's very formidable here.
I think so. And people see the losing by 13 and 11. But again, you very adeptly mentioned losing to Vava Alvastar. By the buyers would have to improve, but certainly has every right to do it. Pete, you're going to go with the 4. Positano Sunset, 12-1. I gave a real hard look at this horse. My only concern was Wilkes off the layoff, but other than that, Pete, I like this pick. I like this horse, even though I don't have her in the top 3. She's a B as in boy for me right now. It just feels like she could get the right setup if she's ready. that could take a small step forward, I think she's absolutely a win candidate here.
Yeah, I had about 8 A's in this race, and we were talking about how tough this one was. So we get to my pick 5 or pick 4. I cut it way back. This is why I was asking you about the cost, because I wanted to see how many I could include in this race. But yeah, this was one. And again, I kind of went with the price a little bit, but I just like the fact that I think there's enough speed, and we could see. Good call there, Howard. We could see there's a fast pace anticipated. And I think, like you said, if Positano Sunset can work out a decent trip and is fit, and the works look to be, so I like that they've been consistent, very consistent and steady works. Nothing super flashy, but they're good, and they've been pretty consistently good.
Yes.
I actually saw Wilkes was actually okay percentage-wise. He was steady. He was right around what he normally is, 17 or so percent when he compared to some of the other things, but he was steady here. She's never gone this short, but I figure she's been good at 6.5. So even though cutting back a little bit, I think if there's a hot enough pace, it'll set up. And if you're getting a 12-1 price, and I'm using a bunch of horses, so it's not like this is like some super key win bet, but at 12-1, I'll take a shot in a race that I think is pretty even.
How's a win and over the Churchill surface? And Paul, we should mention Dazzling Blue is 2 for 2 at Churchill. And I'm thinking sort of the same way you are, Pete. I'm going to go with condensation. And you know what? I know this might be a bit of a fuzzy, but if you look deeply, this condensation, the number 8 guys, how about 3 for 4 over Churchill? And there's a horse called Bango you guys might have heard of that loves Churchill. So when horses like Churchill, they fire, she's going to come from the back of the pack. She's going to be a price. She's run well, obviously, at the track. She's been working well. She's a little bit under the radar. She's won 430,000. Guys, I think this is a pretty good horse. And I think she's got a shot in a race that's completely wide open. And I've got another closer in second, sort of like your 4, Pete. But Last Leaf, the number 2, has a little more recency than the 4. I don't know if she's as talented as the others. Probably not. But again, she's 3 for 4 of the money at Churchill. She's a bit of a closer. She's got an inside post. I don't know, guys. This was a very difficult race. You go a lot of ways. We'll look at our ticket. We're all like spreading a lot in this race. And I think it's for good reason.
Well, it's funny, just real quick, I was just going to say there's a few speed horses that look good, but you're like, man, if they're all banging with each other at the beginning, which one of them is going to, I know. Which one, I got all excited when we were talking about the pregnancy stuff earlier. So when you got 3 of them going, Paul, you're on mute there. If you talking to us?
I said PG-13, Pete.
I know. I didn't say any dirty words.
This is starting to sound like one of Jackson's health classes in middle school right now.
Well, he's got to learn somewhere. All I was saying was there's a lot of speed, and I liked 3 of the speed horses, but you're like, man, which one of them, is any of them going to get away or not?
There you go. I know we have a lot of comments in the chat. Please keep commenting in the chat. We just don't have the time tonight for it. I apologize, but I love our viewers. Have been awesome all week long. We're going to be mega viewership next week. We can't wait. Thank you very much, everyone. Last race of the card is, I thought, a tough one, guys. Maiden 50, race 10. You see it on the bottom of the screen. I'm going 3-6-1. Pete's going 6-2-3. Paul's going 3-1-4. Paul, you and I are both going to go with Star Court. Let me bring it on the screen. Star Court for Cherie DeVoe, 4-1 Moyline, and Louis. What do you like, Paul, about this one?
Well, I do agree with you, Howard, about the type of race it is. I really don't like when they put these maiden claimers in the ankle leg here with no chance to see who's taking any money whatsoever. However, I do like the fact that if I could stay awake at 11:17 on Saturday night, I'll still be gambling probably about 11 hours after I start. So I do like that.
Nice.
Anyway, Cherie DeVoe is very good second start. We know this is the biggest drop in racing, maiden special to maiden claiming. I think Enticed is going to end up being a pretty good sire. If you're looking for a negative, they paid $135 for this horse, and they're willing to lose her for $50 so soon. But they're in business too, and they're in the business of winning races. And it's Maggie Morse and David Engordo, who you may or may not know is married to Cherie DeVoe, and they're going to put the horse in a place where they think she can win. So I think in a wide open race, 4-1 is fine with me. I think the favorite in this race will probably be no lower than 3-1. So I'm good there.
I was struggling with this horse because of the breeding. I thought the breeding leans synth. The works are all on synth. It just threw me off, and I wasn't sure. I put the horse in third, but I was just struggling with this horse a bit. Sorry, Howard.
Yeah, the horses in turf race seem to be doing well in Kentucky. They do well at Keeneland.
Yeah.
I see no reason. They might do better at Churchill just because Churchill's a little more favoring the dirt courses, a little more favoring the turf horses than Keeneland in theory. I don't know. We'll see. It's a tough race. You're going to go with a little bit of an upset here, Pete. And I looked at this horse carefully too. Greg Foley's got 2 in here. You're going with the other Foley, the first-time starter with Tyler G, leading rider at Churchill for many meets. 12-1 morning line. This horse is by Take Charge India out of a Badge of Silver mare.
Yeah, Take Charge Indy, 20% winning percentage with 3-year-old and up first-time starters, 16% in dirt sprints. The dam side, not so much. A little better routing, about 10% from dirt sprints. So I just looked at it and said, in a field where I don't really like anyone, this one has some good works. Foley picks Gaffleone, who I'm happy with. You get Foley, though, 3 for 83 first-time starters on the dirt. That's not really encouraging. But, again, this is a race where I just didn't like anybody. And as I was going through it, and I was like, well, at least this horse, just based on the Take Charge Indy side, looks like first out could be something that his progeny are good at. So let me take a shot at 12, but it's not with a ton of confidence.
Sure. I mean, why not? I don't think that's a bad idea at all. Guys, I'm just going to read off our pick 4s, and then I have a 23-minute taped episode with Jim Miller that we need to get on, and we'll wrap up your portion of the show. Paul, these are pick 4s again, everyone. Paul's going 2-3-5 with 1-8-10 with 5-6-9 with 1-3-4-9. It's a $54 ticket. Pete is going 3-4 with 1-10 with 1-3-4, 5-6-9 with 2-3-6-9. So Pete, you're spreading later in this sequence, $48. I also have a $48 ticket. I'm going 2-3-4-8 with 1-5. So guys, I am using that arrogant filly in race 2 with 1-2-3-4-8-9. Very spready in the stake with 3-6, and frankly, there you go, Pete. I'm using your first-time starter as one of my 2 horses there in the last leg. $48. Guys, had a lot of fun. Thank you. I know that was quick, but we got some bigger fish to fry at Churchill later on coming up. Please join you guys. And Pete, I think you said you're not going to be with us Saturday night.
Saturday. I'll see you guys on Sunday. Okay. No. Saturday, no. I'll see you guys on Sunday.
Paul, you will be here for the draw Saturday night. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah. Every show at all 312 of them.
All right, great. Thanks, guys. Enjoy the evening. We'll talk to you later. Take care, guys.
See you guys.
All righty. All right. Pete Visco, Paul Halloran. Don't go anywhere, folks, because right now, coming up on the screen here in just a moment, Jim Miller, again, had some work and family obligations tonight. I have a taped episode I'd like to show. Sit back and enjoy. This is a taped episode talking about the Illinois Derby from last Sunday, the contest from last Sunday, and equally as important, the late pick 4 Saturday. Again, the late pick 4 Saturday at Hawthorne Racecourse is about a 23-minute taped video, and then once the video is over, I'll come back and wrap up the show. So here we go. This is myself and Jim Miller taped episode for Hawthorne Racecourse. Enjoy, everyone. I'm now here with Jim Miller, Director of Racing from Hawthorne Racecourse, to talk about a few things, including the results of the very exciting 2024 Illinois Derby run this past Sunday. Huge handle, big crowd, exciting contest result as well. And we're also going to talk about the late pick 4 coming up this Saturday. Jim, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. It's an exciting day here in the Chicagoland area. Come on, it's draft day in the NFL. It's all the buzz about the Bears. We're just a week and a half from the Derby, and we just got done with the Illinois Derby. Everything's going good for sure.
It's very exciting. The draft is about 40 minutes here, actually less, more like 20 minutes as we speak here, which is why we're going to go through things a little bit more quickly today. We'll see who the Bears draft. Of course, our Bears are drafting number 1 and number 9. Welcome, Caleb Williams, to the Bears before it even happens. But anyway, Jim, let's talk about the Illinois Derby. Exciting race. exciting contest as well. Let's just talk very quickly about the winner of this year's Illinois Derby.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Patriot Spirit was a horse that came in. Mike Campbell, very highly regarded with this racehorse all the way through their career. Broke their maiden at first asking. And then he thought enough of this horse to run in 5 consecutive stakes races going into the Illinois Derby. A lot of the other horses were kind of trying to figure out their way a little bit. They thought they may have been something where they weren't. And Mike kind of thought the whole time along that this was a stakes type of horse. Everybody's biggest question going into the race was, could the horse handle 2 turns? I knew the horse was going to be on the lead, especially when Ravenstown scratched the morning of. But I'll tell you, Howard, not only did he make the lead easily, Julio Felix kind of walked the dog on the front end. He just backed things down a little bit. And then all of a sudden, when they got to the 3/8 pole and Red Men Violin decided they wanted to start going, Julio just kicked it into another gear. Patriot Spirit pulled away. It was a good, solid effort. I'm going to be curious to see what their next spot is. I don't necessarily know if it's going to be the Preakness. I know they mentioned Ohio Derby from the get-go. Wouldn't surprise me if that's the spot next time out. I think that'd be a very smart move too.
Yeah, I know they're obviously going to be supplemented, or not supplement, but Hawthorne's going to pay their fees. I got to tell you, I don't think that the Preakness is the best spot for them, but we'll see. We talked about this horse on our preview show. He was bred to go long, but never just really put it together going 2 turns. Boy, did he put it together. Right mid-stretch, he really pulled away. Congratulations to the connections of Patriot Spirit, winning at a very juicy 5-1, I believe, Jim, in a field of 5. So if you had Patriot Spirit like the winner of the contest, which had close to 200 entries, that gentleman who also won the Grade 1 Gamble smashed a 2-1 exacta and absolutely ran away with the contest with over $12,000. Congratulations to anyone who cashed well in the Illinois Derby.
And think about it, Howard. Yeah, think about it. You had 194 entries. It was an $800 buy-in, and it was a relatively chalky card too, really, up until the Illinois Derby. And Darren Schweiger still found a way to turn that 800 into $12,675. And think about it, Mike Gillum had a good day, and Mike Gillum was sitting there at $4,000. So you finished second in there, but I mean, NHC seats, Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge seats on the line. Very good handicappers in that contest, well represented. And you had to take your shots. I know you were on Time Heist early on in the contest to kind of get started there. Yeah. But man, just with it being as chalky as it was, there was really kind of maneuvering wagers to get to that point of just over 12 grand.
Well, there's some heavy hitters up till the very end. Matt Miller had the lead. First, at one point, he was in second. Frank Mustari was there. The last race changed everything. And I don't want to take anything away from Darren. It's an amazing accomplishment. Congratulations to him and anyone else. But the leaderboard completely flipped on its head with that last race. I have a feeling if Real Men Violin or the 4 or even maybe a Regal had won that race, things would have been completely different. But look, you got to run the race and you got to have the winner of the last race. And Darren certainly smashed it. So congratulations. Congratulations to you, by the way, and everyone at Hawthorne for putting on a great contest. The sportsbook was buzzing. It was on Sunday. It was a great place to be. Let's talk about this Saturday late. The Saturday late pick 4. Again, talk also turf course is going to be opening up in a little over a week, correct, Jim?
Yeah, and that's the thing. You look at it, we're just coming off the Illinois Derby Day card. We're going into Kentucky Derby. So this week is kind of your lull a little bit, Howard. You're not going to have quite as many allowance races. We have an optional 50 earlier on in the Saturday card. Things really pick up for Kentucky Derby Day because this is going to be the first time we're racing live on Derby Day in quite some time. So it's going to be very busy. You're going to have 3 races on the turf course that day. You're going to just have that quality of racing go up. So decent fields for the late pick 4 Saturday, but it's more of those cheaper claiming type of races, which maybe muddy things a little bit too. But you're going to start to get that quality, and a lot of horses now starting to come back from Oaklawn Park and Tampa Bay Downs in the next couple of weeks as well.
I will be handicapping the late pick 4 for, of course, Hawthorne's website and for In the Money Media. But for full disclosure, it's been a very busy week here, and Jim knows this already. I've not had a chance to look at the card yet, but you know what? You don't need my help, everyone, because Jim Miller's going to smash it out of the park for everyone. So let's go ahead and talk about the late pick 4. There's your picks for race 5, and I'm going to go ahead and bring up the Equibase entries here. Race 5 on Saturday starts at 4:50 Central Time, so 5:50 Eastern. It starts with a $5,000 claimer, 6 furlongs. You've got a non-winners of 2 races in 23 24. It's a field of 7. Morning line favorite is on the outside. Let me move that up there. On the outside with number 7, Breaking News for Rodriguez and Centeno, and that's who you're going with in this race.
Yeah, this is the horse that I probably like the most within this sequence, Howard. Just looking up and down the field, Breaking News is a horse that's just kind of been the most consistent more than anything else. And I know the jock agent for Alexis Centeno actually had numerous choices within this race. And he said, there's no way I'm getting off of this racehorse. It's a horse that's kind of been progressing in recent starts. Last 2 starts over the racetrack have been solid. Was running on late in that last, and it was really kind of running on down the center of the track too. And we saw on Sunday, you could pretty much win from any part of the racetrack. But now that you're going a little bit longer, you're going to 16th of a mile further, everything really seems to set up for Breaking News. You're probably going to be right around that 8-5 price. But this is a horse that, especially with Winging Ways, the 6 horse just to the inside of this one, who can show speed. I think Winging Ways kind of goes out there, sets the early fractions, and Breaking News comes running at him late in the lane.
Yeah, Winging Ways set pretty fast fractions are going 5.5. I guess my only concern with the 8, or for the 7, excuse me, is the 3 for 37. Yes. I suppose that would be a small concern for you, right, Jim?
It would be a small concern, only for this fact. All 3 are at this distance of 3/4 of a mile. The horse doesn't win at 5/8, doesn't win at 5.5. None of the other distances really suit Breaking News. This is a distance that does. 15 of 23 on the board at 3/4 of a mile. All 3 lifetime victories at the distance too.
And you gotta love horses that are consistent, that old timers. They just want to run. They want to go out there. They're sound. Why not? I hear people say, "Why is this horse running at this age?" If they're sound, this is what they like to do. And some of them are geldings too. And so, they do a nice job of filling fields and making their owners and fans happy by racing.
And this is a horse, you look, 3 lifetime victories on its career, 37 starts for this 8-year-old gelding. He's earned $321,000. He's still making money for his connections. So why stop doing what you want to do, especially if you're a gelding? You're not headed off to the breeding shed or anything. This is what horses are bred to do. It's what they love to do. And if they're still competitive, go ahead and keep running them.
I agree. Race 6. There's Jim's pick on the bottom of the screen. He's going 8, 3, 6. Let's go ahead and bring up the field. Race 6 is main claiming 15,000. They're going a mile and 70 yards. A nice field of 9. Again, we've talked about this, Jim. The field sizes at Hawthorne are improved. They're good. People want competition, and you get that at Chicago's hometown track. The morning line favorite, which actually is not up on the screen, but
it's interesting. It's the 3 sharp stick.
The morning line. I guess let me refresh. Okay, they don't have it in Aquabase, so. Who is the morning line favorite? I don't know why it's not in here, actually.
Well, it's interesting because they had it in for race number 5 and they didn't for the 6. So race 6, the morning line favorite is the 3 sharp stick at 5-2. Giano's 3-1 second choice in there.
All right, there you go. But you're going to go with the Ridge for Ravelli and Centeno. Well, we can see the odds there as I bring up the PPs. What do you like about the Ridge?
Here's the thing. The Ridge is like the other Ravelli in the race, because I think a whole lot of people are going to look to Giano in here, because this is a horse that was running for maiden allowance and now is dropping in for that $15,000 price tag. But the Ridge is a horse that you look back at that debut race, there was a whole lot of things that just kind of went wrong for the Ridge in there. 1, it was a sloppy track. 2, it was 5.5 furlongs. And then 3, you got off very slowly in that spot. And the horse still flashed a little bit of speed before giving way. But now you're coming back in. You're back in for the tag. But here's the thing. Bred to run all day. You get a change in saddle to Centeno, who's been riding very well this meet. And you look up and down the field, Howard, there's not a ton of pace in this race. And I just think the Ridge being lightly raced, give it another shot here and give it a shot to stretch out. It's a little bit like on a cheaper level what you saw at a Patriot Spirit in the Illinois Derby last week. Stretch out to go those 2 turns. You might catch soft fractions on the front end. And I think something like that sets things up for the Ridge to possibly just go out there, cruise along on the front end, and take them the whole way around.
Now, Mojica has been on Giano. Centeno was on the Ridge last time.
Chris Amy. Yeah, Chris Amy. Yep.
I don't like to play too much of the jockey musical chairs. Any thoughts with Centeno being on this horse instead of, let's say, Loveberry or someone that you would maybe, I don't want to say trust more, but someone that Ravelli would be more likely to put on a live horse?
Well, it's interesting because Loveberry we thought was going to stick around, but he's headed off to Churchill, and I don't know how long he's going to stay there or if he's going to be kind of bouncing around a little bit. But Last year when Mojica left and went to Indiana, Loveberry was off in Kentucky, it was Alexis Centeno who picked up all the mounts for Larry Ravelli, and it was probably what led him to his first leading jock title at Hawthorne. So you might start to see this marriage coming back a little bit here with Centeno for Ravelli. And if that's the case, Larry's going to give him a lot of live mounts because he probably is one of your best riders on the circuit right now. So you want to have that guy when you're running a whole lot of racehorses.
Interesting. I will say the number one Laureate is the kind of horse that I know Pete and Paul, my wonderful co-hosts, would say I would like because with a 0 buyer and a 2 buyer. I've sort of known on the show once in a while to pick horses coming off of DNFs. They do surprisingly well, Jim. I'm telling you, you've seen it a million times. I'm not saying the one's going to win, puts blinkers on, but anyway, I just saw the PPs. Looks
So do you have the
paper.
PPs for that? Can you throw the PPs back up for that horse,
sure
Laureate?
can.
Look at Laureate's odds the first time out, Howard.
Yes.
5-2.
Yep.
Regardless of a 5-horse field, still 5-2 and a maiden allowance there. Yes, you were beating 40, but somebody must have thought that this horse had some upside to it. So Laureate's a little bit of a intriguing type of racehorse for that reason. Maybe there's a little bit more to it than meets the eye.
I don't know. Puts the blinkers on. I mean, I'd probably throw a few shekels on.
Not a great bunch. Yeah.
Actually, nicely bred, but I don't have any other intel. Biggest drop in racing, main special, main claimer. We've seen it before. Strange stuff happens. All right, let's go on to leg 3 of the late pick 4. Again, this is Saturday, late pick 4, race 7. Jim is going 7-1-4. And again, interesting enough, and I'm sorry for the production meeting in the middle of the show, they don't have the morning line also Jim, for race 7. Get Equibase on the phone, Jim. I don't know. You're director of racing. Try and find out what happened there. But anyway, race 7, $5,000 claimers, 6 furlongs, N2X field of 8. Morning line. Oh, sorry. Who is the morning line favorite? Jim?
Morning line favorite's the 1. Overdue Honor at 8-5. Second choice is the 7, getting paid at 4-1. But Overdue Honor will be a very heavy favorite. This is a horse coming in out of maiden allowance races. Won a maiden allowance at Belterra last year on the turf. Now drops in for 5,000.
But you're going to go with the 7 getting paid, and I know that horse well because I picked that horse on top last time. I believe was it last week because I'm starting to know these horses very well now that I'm handicapping, thankfully, and I appreciate Hawthorne giving me the opportunity. As you can find me along with the other expert handicappers on the website. So if you know if you're not aware of that, check that out. But yes, I did have getting paid last time. Didn't run very well. Ran in a really fast horse is Phillipsburg. Phillipsburg would be 1-10 in this spot. So what do you like about getting paid in this spot today?
Well, and here's the really intriguing thing about getting paid is you see where the horse got claimed for the 5-9-2 back in March, was actually entered in a similar spot at Hawthorne before scratching out of that to go in this 12-5-9-2 in their last. And like you said, Phillipsburg was a good winner in that spot out there on the front end. Getting paid in the race, ran okay, finishing 5th out of that field of 7. But now they say we're going to drop back to the level of the claim. Probably going to get that trip from the second flight. You definitely know Overdue Honor, I would think, from the inside shows speed, but I think Mad Dragon, the 4 horse, is going to show speed as well. If those two kind of both go out there and duke things out, we're going 3/4. I just think getting paid kind of stalks the pace and runs them down late.
Yeah, I think the drop in class is going to help getting paid also. It's a very interesting race. You see the 3 there, Mad Dragon, and of course, Overdue Honor going turf to dirt for Louis Roussel, who's brought in some horses. I also want to compliment one thing about last Sunday, just a piggyback, which might help people for this Saturday coming up. The track's been very fair. Now, there were a lot of chalks that won on Sunday, and I think someone with less experience handicapping would say, oh, it was speed favoring. Look, the best horses were speed horses on Sunday. So to say that it was speed favoring would not be fair because there were horses like Went West, the 4 that I liked, who just missed for second, and actually
look at Time Heist. Time Heist came flying.
Time Heist came from the clouds. I correctly predicted the 1-4 exacta in race, I believe 2. I'm drawing a Flathead. What was that horse? Flathead something. I can't remember now. But anyway, there's a horse that closed up for second. So it's a very fair track. If people think, well, it's going to be speed favoring and a horse like getting paid won't be able to get paid from the outside, just not true. Kudos to the track superintendents, Jim, who continue yeoman's work there and at the Cicero Oval.
Well, and the big thing about it, we mentioned it last week, even though it was a stakes day for the Illinois Derby, we weren't going to change how we maintain the racetrack. We want to keep it how it is each and every day. Safety first and foremost, evenly playing is really what you want to see. And I'm expecting much of the same. Hopefully the rain does stay away this weekend. It looks like it's going to be kind of scattered. So track drains very quickly. We should be okay.
Let's hope the rain does stay away. Last leg of the pick four on Saturday. Jim is going 4-7. It's a 12,500 claimer, 6 furlongs for the fillies, 3-year-olds and up, N3X, and the field of 9 again. Another nice big field. I'm so used to saying the more line favorite is. I'm gonna stop saying that, Jim, and I apologize to everyone.
7.
It's a 7. By the time everyone sees this, we're filming actually on Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen. But when everyone sees this on Thursday, you'll know the morning lines other than Jim having to yell it out. But the 7 dessert first, or is going to be. I almost said desert. I almost fell on that one. Dessert first. The 7 is going to be the favorite for Lopez and Cologne. But you're going to go with the 4 Frankel Baby for Brittany Vandenberg and Chris Amy.
Extremely well-bred 4-year-old filly, of course. But the thing is, they thought really highly of this one, ran against some really tough company, put up a couple decent numbers, and then really kind of tailed off there at the end of November. Now you come over to the Vandenberg barn, and here's the benefit of being the director of racing. I was back walking the barn area this morning, and I got to see this horse in the flesh this morning and talk to Brittany about it. And she's very happy with the way that the horse is training, the way the horse is working. You see the drills on there. It's been solid work after solid work after solid work for Franco Baby. Chris Amy's the one working the racehorse. Seems like they figured out whatever it was with this horse and have turned it around a little. But at the same time, Howard, you look at the races they were running, and they're not asking nearly what that out of this racehorse today. You're looking at a 12-5 claimer in here. This is the spot where the horse definitely figures, and I think Franco Baby will be pretty tough here in the last.
It's just, horse racing is such a crazy game, not only from a ownership standpoint, from a, trainer jockey standpoint, from betting standpoint. You look at the breeding, City Zip, this horse by Runaway and Hyde, who was a pretty good horse on his own out of City Zip or by City Zip. And then the dam side, I mean, you see Franco in the dam side. It's just, I'm sorry, we can't, sorry about that. All right. Well, anyway, you see the breeding here, Jim, and then you see the price tag at Keeneland November here, 1,300.
Yeah.
I mean, 1,300. That's that's a small bet for Matt Miller right there. That's what that is.
It means you saw something physically, right? Right.
Back in Keeneland November, it's a funny game, isn't it, Jim? You just never know what good horses. It sort of reminds me as I take you off this to put you back on the screen. We were talking about the Kentucky Derby a little bit and how cool it was to see a horse like West Saratoga for Larry Demerite, which is a great story in the Kentucky Derby. And I believe that horse was bought for $11,000, Jim, at Keeneland. And now he has that horse in the Derby versus my top choice. I hope that horse and the horse that I hope wins, Sierra Leone, who was the sale topper at Facing Tipton August at Saratoga for $2.3 million. You just never know. Good horses can come from anywhere at any price, Jim.
And they really can. And it's the way they develop too. I mean, and that's the thing that I think changed a little bit, Howard, is it used to be, okay, there was a pretty lengthy 2-year-old campaign to kind of get the seasoning into the racehorse at 3. Now you have some people that are still maybe trying to figure it out at 2, while others are just starting a little bit later with racehorses. But we've seen numerous times now, horses are either a cheap sales purchase, maybe even got claimed as a 2-year-old early in the 3-year-old campaign, and then they start to figure it out. Go back to Patriots Fair, the Illinois Derby. I talked to Mike Campbell after the race. He's like, this horse is still figuring out. He raced kind of greenly in the lane. He's still just kind of pulling everything together mentally. Just kind of happens. But when it clicks, it clicks. And if it's at the right time, you can win the biggest race that there is in horse racing.
No, it's really amazing. And it's really fun. Now that I've gotten more into ownership, Jim, I'm obviously looking at these sales prices more. And I just have mad respect for anyone that could find a horse at a lower price. Because look, not everyone's a sheikh. Not everyone's, has got, money to buy horses at 6 digits. And so, you got to bargain hunt sometimes. but these horses can run if you can just find the right trainer, the right breeding, the right etc. Let's go to your late pick 4. It's on the bottom of the screen. Jim's, it says Sunday. It's actually Saturday. I apologize. Let me change that. But Jim, the Saturday late pick 4, I'm going to rattle it off here as I change it on the screen. My apologies, everyone. Jim's late pick 4 for Saturday is 7 with 3-8 with 1, 3, 4, 5, 7 with 2, 4, 5, 7. You're going very light on at the beginning. You're going much deeper at the end. That's only a $20 ticket. I'm assuming some players might want to smash that more than once. Talk about your construction here, Jim.
We did it very similarly to what we did last week, where we like time heist on the front end. So why spread on the front end if you like a single? If the single's at the start, hey, you single at the start. If you don't hit it, you already have a pick 3 ticket built. So Breaking News, I think, is the most logical horse there, running at its best distance in the first leg. I'm going to try to beat the Ravelli horse Giano in the second leg. So sharp stick in the ridge for me in that leg. Then after that, you see spread 5 by 4. But when it's only a 50-cent base minimum and you have that chance, either you want to hit it a couple of times or try to beat a couple of favorites there, if you can do so, I think you'll still get a decent return.
Yeah, no, I like the skinny early. And as always, as my good friend Paul Haller would say, co-host, you lose the first leg, there's always a pick 3.
That's right.
Right? So signaling in the front side is never a bad idea. Jim, thanks for coming on. Any final thoughts coming up? There's always contests that are available. Talk about what else people can bet at Hawthorne, maybe any stakes action people can expect to see in the next coming weeks.
Yeah, so it's going to be really interesting as we get into the summer turf season. A lot of things change because you're going to get bigger fields for one. You may get a little bit bigger race card too, and what I mean by that, 9 or 10 race cards as well, just because you have the turf back. With the turf brings the bigger fields, but you still have that low takeout and win play show. So everybody needs to check that out. We have the ongoing online contest all summer long, and we have a couple of different NEC qualifiers that are going to come up. So if anything, check the website, HawthorneRacecourse.com. And Howard, they can now play your pick 4 tickets there each and every day. So something very cool to check out too.
And my pick 4 tickets will be up probably Thursday. Usually I put them about 48 hours before the races. Jim Miller, Director of Racing from Hawthorne Racecourse. Thanks, man. Thanks a lot. Really appreciate it. We'll see you next week. Take care.
All right. You got it. Thanks, Howard.
All right. All righty. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. That was Jim Miller discussing Hawthorne this Saturday with their late pick 4. Congratulations to everyone who did well in the contest from last Sunday for Illinois Derby. I was there. The place was buzzing. It was fantastic. Matt Miller was right there, by the way, in first and second most of the way, and went for a big score in the last race. Didn't quite happen for him, but I made a little bit of a run later, but I also didn't have Patriot Spirit either in the last race, and that's what cost me. But anyway, they put on a great show there at Hawthorne Racecourse, so congratulations to everyone involved with that. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap up the show. I know people ask, where's Paul's rant? Maybe he'll do a double rant next week, but no rant today. We're just going quicker to get out of the way so that my Bears can draft Caleb Williams and win the next 6 of the next 10 Super Bowls or something like that. Who knows? But I hope that you enjoyed tonight's show. Again, Saturday night, this Saturday night, 7:15 Eastern, live right here for the 150th Kentucky Derby post position draw. It's going to be fun. It's going to be crazy. Hope you join us then. Until then, this has been Howard Kravitz, episode 351 of Picks and Ponies. Crush your bets at Churchill and the NFL draft tonight. Hope your team picks the player that you want. Take care, everyone. Have a great night. Bye-bye.
If you have not followed his Triple H horse racing podcast, you're missing out. It's one of the best podcasts in the country.